Hello everyone, I'm the Solo Gamer, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. Today I am lucky enough to have one of the community managers, Damion Rayne, here to talk about the past, present, and future of KSP. So without further ado, let's get this video rolling.
Hi Ryan, how you doing?
Good, how about you?
Doing good. Busy. Really busy lately.
Really busy?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you're only moderating a community of how many people now?
We're at close to 56,000 now.
Jeez Louise.
Things are growing. We're getting close to 300 or 400 registrations a day. So things are growing, and the community team has grown and restructured several times to be able to handle the growth, and we're building an entire social network around KSP now. So
yeah, it's really growing out of control. Not out of control. You're doing a very good job of moderating the forums.
Some people would disagree with you, but we try. Yeah, it's we really, all of us play the game, and all of us really care about the community and about the project, and especially the moderation team and the test team. They care a lot about the game and about the project and the community. Captain Skunky and I are both officially, by the end of the week, I should say, maybe next week, we're officially squad staff. So that's changed some things for us, but we're taking on a lot and working together to build the community around the game and help promote the game even more, because, well, we really believe in it. It's not about money for us. We actually care.
That's really what it's all about. Back when I discovered Kerbal Space Program, which was last year sometime, I know it was before Advanced SAS, which was a pretty long time ago, the community was very small, and it's grown a lot, and I think it's grown into a more respectful community due to, your help and the other moderators, Captain Skunky. So, I mean, you guys are doing a really good job keeping everybody in check while also maintaining an entertaining community.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you think that.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think a lot of other people think that too, regardless of who says what.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now that when I started, I used to work for Tactical Industries LLC, which owns tacticalgamer.com, and I was doing interviews with developers. Like, I interviewed a lot of the guys from CCP Games for EVE Online. And eventually I wanted to start covering indie game development, so I poked Harvester and said, hey, would you mind doing an interview? And he said, no, sure, that's fine. And Harv he's going to kill me for saying this. He's eccentric. But he's really awesome. He's a really great guy. This is his baby, his vision, and, but he was very, very busy developing the game. I think we were in version 10 at the time. We kept trying to get together to do an interview, and we would end up trying to get an interview started and then just talking for like 6 hours about the game and all kinds of random stuff. He's a huge DCSA 10 fan. You should see his personal setup. He's got like 3 monitors and a HOTAS setup.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he's a flight sim guy, hardcore, and it took like 3 or 4 months before we actually got to sit down and do the interview that everybody saw.
Right, that's a very long time.
Yeah, and in that time frame, he and I became pretty close friends. We talked a lot. We got to talk about the game a lot, and I got to give him a lot of feedback. At that time, I started kind of doing community-type stuff where I would, bring videos and mods and things like that to his attention because, well, he can't peruse the forums all day, especially now because he's too busy.
Right, because he's so devoted to his game.
Yeah, and I mean, he worked 12 hours yesterday, and
good God.
Yeah, he and I actually spent 2 hours working on a single issue that probably ended up being caused by 1 line of code. So, yeah, video game development is not as easy as everybody thinks it is.
No, definitely.
So, but to continue on with that story, eventually we did the interview, the 2-part interview that everybody saw. I had become friends, and I offered to help with the mod team, and he just made me a global moderator, which a lot of people didn't like, but, So I started as global instead of a regular mod, and at that time, we were at 11,000 on the forums, and we were still on the SMF forums, which SMF isn't a bad forum solution. It's just not capable of doing what we needed it to do.
Yeah, I actually remember that forum.
Yeah, it's crap compared to what we've got now.
Pretty much.
Compared to what we've got now, and when we are actually getting ready to transition to vBullet and 5 Connect.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we've got the beta for that. We've been testing it and playing with it and things like that, but it's not up where anybody can see it, of course. But anyways, yeah, I started as a global, and I really kind of started working in the community and working with James, aka Captain Skunky, and I started doing stuff like I wrote the forum rules, I rewrote the moderator's handbook, I started training new mods, I took over recruitment, so he didn't have to worry about it, and started recruiting new mods. Harvester and I, came up with a test team, and I took care of recruitment for them as well, and started doing a lot of forum systems administrator kind of stuff. And eventually, as time grew on, I became the quote assistant community manager underneath Captain Skunky. Everybody's probably aware of some things that happened, but we're not going to go into detail. But James is back, and he's community manager, and so am I. And right now what we're doing is, which is kind of ironic because I'm doing this interview with you, but he's public relations and customer service. He couldn't be available for the interview, unfortunately. I would love to have had him with all three of us. But
yeah, that would have been awesome.
So, and then I'm focusing on human resources, aka the moderation team and the test team, and then systems administration.
So like the backbone?
Yeah, because I'm not very good at, how do I put it, having my face in public. So Skunky is. Everybody loves him. So.
Well, that's one way to put it.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Everybody loves him, and he is the face of KSP, and he's been a friend and a mentor to me. All through all this, and now we're partners. And like I said, we're being officialized as members of the squad team and things like that. So that's going to be great for the both of us. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
So you said you and Skunky are going to be taking a larger role in the community. Are you doing anything right now?
Yeah. We've got the new Tumblr. I don't know if you know about that or not.
The new Tumblr.
Well, it's new as in it's like 2 or 3 months old, but not a lot of people know about it.
Well, I remember the blog, and yes. I know the Twitter account. Most of those aren't really updated.
No, but that's changing because with James and I doing what we're doing, we're taking control of the social network aspect. So we handle the forums and the IRC, and then I did some updates to the forums yesterday, actually, where you can get to the IRC from the forums, you can get to our Tumblr from the forums, the YouTube channel from our forums, and not Twitter yet, and the KSP Facebook. And James and I are taking over Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and all that. So we're pulling all that under our purview so that the squad team, the actual dev team, can focus on actually, developing the game that we all love. So that's coming down the pipeline. That should hopefully be up and running within the next few weeks. Then you'll see a lot more content on the YouTube, on the Facebook, on Twitter, etc. So, but the Tumblr blog is for the dev team, so we're really not gonna take control of that. But
right, yeah. Well, that will actually be great because there are a lot of people that feel like they're in the dark with the new updates, and getting new content out there would hopefully prolong their patience.
We're gonna try. Right now, we're not gonna do an actual forum post that says this is what's coming in 0.18, mainly because some of the stuff that we're working on is major overhauls, and it may or may not make it. So we don't want to say, for example, this particular system is coming in 0.18 and then find out it's going to take 2 more months worth of work.
Right.
Have to pull it and have people, be upset. So we just decided that, the devs are going to continue writing their blogs on the forums, which everybody seems to really, really enjoy. So of course the community team is eyes as a hawk on those because we don't want anything bad to happen there.
Yeah.
But we've got our eyes on the dev blogs to make sure that the devs can post their blogs without being harassed and having any issues crop up and things like that.
So this may be a broad question, and it really is. But what can we expect for big features for the future of KSP?
That is a broad question.
Very broad. Let me narrow it down. Features that may have been asked before.
Oh, okay. You're being cute there. You're asking about the docking, I take it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Which is what everybody wants to know about. So I'll tell your viewers right now and you that, contrary to popular belief, docking's actually been in development for several months. It's not as easily done, easily handled, and shoehorned into the system as everybody thinks it is. KSP is about 220,000 lines of code.
Right, yeah.
Multiple systems and mechanics and things like that. So docking is, though, officially on the roadmap. It is something Harvester wants to do. It's something the dev team wants to do. It's something the community team has told them that everybody wants.
Pretty much, yeah. That's been requested for every single update since it was even announced.
Yes, and ever since it's been on the list as a planned feature, people have been bugging the crap out of us for it. So, and I understand that, but it's not gonna work the way they think it's gonna work. It's not going to be. Right now, the dev team's focus is areas of least development. So whatever is least developed in the game is what they focus on.
Right. Yep.
Because you get those areas of least development done to a point that they're presentable, and then you go back and work on them later. So, because we're working on Scope Complete right now, which is basically everything that you can or ever will be able to do in the game. We want you to have that systems in the game. So like, IVA and EVA, for example, they're there, but you can't really do a whole lot with them yet.
Right, and people want EVA and IVA to be fully implemented, planting flags, doing other sorts of things, but they don't really understand that you guys are trying to go for a scope complete, and then once you're at that point, you can go in, tweak things, and add new content.
Yeah. So Scope Complete, would be all the career mode stuff, and a lot of other things that you can't yet do in the game. James and I do our best to keep our eyes on the community, which is why we have a very specific chain of command in place in the community team, where we have team leaders for each of the major sections, and then moderators that comb those sections, so that they don't have a large workload and they can really see what the community wants. Like, for example, with some of the feature requests, a moderator might run past a forum and then send it up to his team leader, and then once every 2 weeks his team leader sends me a report and says, hey, this is a big feature and whatnot, and then I can go and talk to Adrian, the senior producer, and talk to Harvester, the lead developer, and say, hey, look, this is something that's really, really, really requested, and do we think we could do anything about it? And that's kind of the way it's working right now. So yeah, with docking, to get back on topic, it's on the roadmap. It's planned. It's gonna happen eventually. It is gonna happen. It's on the roadmap. It's in development. We've got a lot of solutions that we're working on right now. The dev team is actively working on it, but it may or may not happen in the next update. It may still be a while away. So I can't give you an ETA, but it's something that we all want, and we are working on it.
Well, I can't even rendezvous with the ship, so I can be patient enough to wait for docking.
Well, hopefully everybody else can too, because we want to do it right. We want to.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, we've got EVA and IVA and all the planets and stuff like that, but there's really nothing to those systems yet. Like, you can get out on EVA, but you can't repair ships and use tools and all this other stuff. That's planned, sure, in the future, but we just wanted to get it in and working first. And that's what's going to happen with docking, is when we do actually get it in the game, we just want it there and we want it working, and we want people to be able to do stuff with it. So we want to make sure that it works, which is why it's taken 5 months.
Yeah, pretty much. I think there is a mod out there that is a rough docking type mod.
Orda? Is that what's called?
I'm not sure what the name of it's called, but I have seen it. I guess others would argue that you could just implement the mod.
No. You can, sure, but like we did with C7's work before he actually became a dev team member, and they didn't just immediately pull all of his stuff into the game.
Right.
It had to go through Q&A, it had to go through updates and changes and code, and because most of what C7 had been doing was hacks, because a lot of people make the joke that KSP doesn't have a flight model, and it's not really a joke. We don't. We have what's known as a deflection model and things like that. So, we really don't have a full-blown aerodynamic flight model in the game yet, because we never really needed it, but now we do. Yeah. So that's something else that is in active development, but it's not a priority. So we're working on some other things like that, is changing wing code and changing the aerodynamic model, and especially now that we've got multiple planets with different types of atmospheres and things like that. So it's in development, but it's not a priority, so it's probably not going to be seen for quite a while.
Yeah, and that's part of the scope complete.
Yes, it is.
So are you guys doing anything substantial to Kerbal Space Program, regarding the system itself?
Oh yeah, I know that C7 is working on a major systems overhaul, as is Moo. They're both doing quite a lot of work. I know that what I can talk about it, the staging system as we know it is going to go away.
Kaput?
Yeah, it's gone. Well, we don't like it either. So we know it's been an area of much frustration.
Yeah, I think there's been more suggestions for customization and organization in staging.
Well, they're going to get that. Moo is working on what's known as an action groups system. I'm not going to go into details really,
Right,
but
yeah.
it's going to blow everybody away because it's amazing. It's extremely customizable. You can rebind all kinds of things like that. So, and you can have like one button do multiple things, which is what the action group system is for. I can give you an example. Like, if you're coming back into the atmosphere, for example, you press like one button, which immediately decouples a decoupler and pops a parachute and all this other stuff, and it's just one button instead of having to space bar through the frickin' unstack just to get it to work.
Yeah, all the junk and struts that are in their own separate stage, and
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of going to be, the staging system's kind of going to be there, but it's been completely rebuilt. I think if I remember correctly, the icon stack is going away. I don't know if it's like gone or if we're rebuilding it or what exactly we're doing, but when it launches, we'll find out, because even I don't really know myself.
yeah.
I've only got a chance to take a look at some of the prototypes, so that's in development. I mean, that I can't give ETA on that either, but it's going to be a lot of fun, because now we're going to have a lot of direct control over what buttons do what and what happens with the rockets and the planes. C7 is working on a complete code overhaul.
Oh my.
Yeah, he's done. I've seen, like I said, a lot of the prototypes. I've seen a lot of the stuff in development, and it absolutely blows me away what we're doing. Just to give you an example, when we're done with this, you're actually going to need intakes. They will work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you will need, for air-breathing engines, oxygen and fuel, and if you don't have one or the other at the correct mixture, the engine will flame out or give you less performance based on the thrust curve and all kinds of stuff like that, without going to a whole bunch of technical details. But it's the part module system, which I think the guys have done some dev blogs and they've talked about the part module system. It is basically rebuilding the entirety of the parts library from the ground up.
Yeah, didn't they start to do that in 0.17?
They did, yeah. We did some pre-work on it in 16, I believe. We did a lot more pre-work on it in 17, and then for 18 and 19 and 20, and for all these updates, we're going to be continually iterating and developing it.
Is there anything that's coming up that's going to be kind of unexpected?
Well, I do know that Harvesters is working on something for the next update that is really going to blow people away. One of the biggest things, the biggest problems, I guess you could say, with the game right now is that we added a tutorial and scenario systems, but we don't have a lot, because those take a long time to write, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And of course we have to QA them to make sure they're not crap.
Yeah, I actually did a couple of the missions myself.
Are they decent?
Yeah, no, they're definitely decent for new beginners.
One of the things is that especially now with all the new planets and the orbital bodies and things like that, people are using things like MechJeb, which is fine. Ramon's a great guy, and he's an amazing coder. We'd love to have him on the team, believe it or not, but
right.
And that may or may not happen too. I mean, don't quote me on that. I mean, I'm being recorded anyway, so but, it could or couldn't happen. But we want to take as much away from, how do I put this without irritating our modders, which are all amazing. We would actually want to take some stuff away from forcing you to go outside of game or forcing you to put a mod in the game to do it. So what Harvester is working on right now is, once you're actually in an orbit, he's created the maneuver node system, which he's been talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll be able to right-click on an orbit and add a maneuver and drag these little handles and things like that, and it will create a secondary orbital projection and show you what's going to happen. Well, what it does is it actually puts a little icon on your nav ball and says, point the ship here.
Oh.
And then eventually we would like it to tell you how long you have to burn for and things like that. But we don't want it mech jebish, and that's, if Ramon watches this, and he probably will. Mech Jeb is amazing, and like I said, I love all of his work. But we want to make things that are going to still force you to play the game.
Earlier in development, you guys actually said that you did not want to have an autopilot system in the game, where you are hands-free, letting it control yourself.
And
it's still we're kind of, I don't want to say reneging, because we're not. We're handling that situation differently now,
Right.
because later down the road, many updates from now, we want to have probes and rovers. We want you to be able to do a Curiosity style mission, because that was amazing. I don't know if you watched it or not, but I did.
Yeah, I definitely did.
The maneuver node system, one of the things that we'd like to do with it is where, you have a rocket sitting on the pad that is completely unmanned. The part module system actually pulls the command away from the command capsule, so you don't actually have to have a manned ship anymore. But that's still in development. That may or may not happen anytime soon. But what we would like to, much later down the road, is say, we still want some hands-on. So if you want to send a rover to Duna, we're going to make you build the flight plan for it. You're going to have to go into the map and hands-on build the flight plan for the craft to follow, and it may or may not, screw it all up.
Right. Yeah.
So,
exactly.
And one of the ideas for that is you'll actually see a little Kerbal guy in mission control, and instead of like the pilot, you'll still have a little picture. So if he's freaking out, it's because he's going to lose his job if the rover crashes.
Maybe rocking a little mohawk.
Maybe. But I kind of like the idea that if you want to send a probe out, that you can do it. And it, hopefully, eventually, we'll have it set up to where it can give you valid information instead of "there's a planet there."
Yeah, of course, yeah.
There's a planet there. No, like atmospheric density and gravity and rotation and all
Right.
that kind of give you information that you can use to do stuff later down the road, especially in career mode. But yeah, we want you to be able to build a flight plan, and then have the craft follow your flight plan. And then even if something should happen, make these mid-course correction changes to the flight plan while the unmanned mission is going on. And then you've got your little picture of your Kerbal dude sitting at Kerbal Space Center pressing buttons on a Mac,
Yeah.
Because NASA seems to use Macs, and I don't like them, but sorry, Mac. But that's fine, because that's what we want to do. We want to keep everything still funny as well, because Kerbal Space Program is supposed to be funny.
Unlike its competition, Orbiter, which is a great space sim, but adding a humorous background with the Kerbals just makes it more engaging to other people.
Well, yeah, we gotta understand that most of the dev team has played it, especially the lead developer. Harvester adores Orbiter, and Orbiter gave him a lot of inspiration for a lot of the things that we're doing in Kerbal Space Program. Orbiter's amazing, but yes, it is. It's kind of like XCOM Enemy Unknown. It's like, welcome to the world. Now you're dead.
Yeah.
Which we do, but we do it in a funny way. It's like, hey, welcome to Kerbal Space Program. That up there is called space. Good luck.
Yeah, and it's pretty much the same experience for all newcomers. Hit the space bar and boom.
Yeah. We're never going to get rid of that. We're
No.
never going to get rid of the failure part. We want, right now, we're still holding true to, if you fail, it's your fault.
Yeah. Failure is always an option.
Yes, it is always an option. To give you an idea of, stuff that might be way future, and to the guys that are listening, we're talking like, 6 or 7 updates like next year. We would like, for the career mode, there to be a research and development kind of a thing. And for example, we might add failure chances to things. Like, a fuel line might have a chance to burst, and you might have to get out on EVA and go fix it. But what we want to maintain throughout doing that is always a chance for the player to do something about it. So, if your full fuel line bursts and, catches on fire and your whole rocket goes up in smoke, most games would just be like, hey, welcome to RNG, We're not going to do that. We're going to go, this is exact, because your little after action report, when something does go wrong, it gives you information on what failed and what didn't. So, for example, if you send a rocket up and the fuel line bursts and kablooey, we want the report to say, by the way, at this point, your fuel line went kablooey, and that's what caused the rocket to go kablooey.
Yeah.
And then we want you to be able to go and talk to your scientists and go, hey, make me a better fuel line that doesn't fail.
I'm sure it works something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we want. That's what we've discussed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this engine blew up. Why did the engine blow up? Well, you go to your little Kerbal scientist, and they go, well, you overheated it, doofus, and it exploded. Well, make it not overheat, and stuff like that. We want career mode, of course, isn't going to be like sandbox mode where you've got all the parts unlocked. You're going to have to do research and development and things like that. So.
Yeah.
And of course, there are repercussions to actually, going kablooey.
The way we're kind of doing it is, you've got to incite, not panic, because inciting panic sucks, and we do that a lot in KSC. But and you got to incite hope and belief in the Kerbal populace, because contrary to what a lot of people think that write fan fiction, the Kerbal kind are one nation, they're unified, but you still have to create belief in your program and get people to fund you and things like that. And that's what we want to do with Kerbal Space Program, where you might have Kerbal News Channel 23 or whatever come to you and say, hey, can you put a satellite up in orbit for us? And then if you screw that up, you're not going to get any more projects for
yeah,
things like that. So and of course there might we might do multiple difficulty levels, and we might do a hardcore mode, things like that. But again, you're looking the end of next year, probably before anything like that happens.
A really long time.
Yeah, because it's a lot of features. I know the first step is Space Center management, and everything we're doing in Sandbox first, so that we know it works for career mode. But like Space Center management, if we do that as an update, it will probably take as long as 2 updates would, I think, roundabout.
Yeah.
So, like, if we were to do Space Center management for 19, we're not. I'm not committing to anything. But if we were to do Space Center management for 19 would probably take as long to develop as 17 and 18 did together. But no, I've not committed to anything. That's not what's happening in 19. And I don't know, because we haven't really talked about it. So,
right.
Well, because we want career mode to work.
Okay, so the future of KSP in relation to distribution. I know that Steam just brought up a new program called Greenlight.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
No.
We're not doing Greenlight. I love the guys at Valve, but Greenlight's a disaster. It's one of the reasons why they've made you charge they're charging you $100 just to list something on Greenlight. So we did a live stream with Kurt J. Mack, for our lands are bust and all that, and and that was when Adrian, the senior producer, said that yes, we're going on Steam, and we are going on Steam. We're just not going through Greenlight. So
you're just gonna go right up there, skip all that process.
Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more, of course, but the problem with Greenlight right now is, for example, you've got people still paying $100 just to put a whole bunch of naked pictures up and say, "Look at my game." And, another issue with Greenlight is that you can downvote things, and I really hate downvoting in everything.
Yeah, disliking on YouTube I think is the worst.
Yeah, YouTube especially. If I've got 150,000 people that like my video and 4,000 that don't, the 4,000 that don't, sorry about your luck, but I'm sure there's something else for you somewhere else, so you can go away.
Right.
I've got 150,000 people that like this. So with Steam Greenlight, if you downvote games, then they don't happen. And I don't agree with that. If you've got 250,000 people that want a game on Greenlight and 20,000 people that don't, who cares about the 20,000 people that don't? I'm sorry. So all in all, Greenlight is a disaster. Now, Valve is doing everything in their power to fix it. They're charging you money to put stuff up, and we actually had somebody try and put fake KSP up on Greenlight.
Yeah, I saw the post about that.
Yeah, we immediately talked to Valve and they yanked it. So they're very good about discussing with us. So we are going to go on Steam. We wanted to go straight to Steam instead of going through Greenlight, but when Valve was developing Greenlight, they weren't taking applications. So we had to wait until Greenlight was done before we could do the process of going on Steam. So I don't know what's going on with that. We still want to do it. We want to go on Steam. We want to do some cloud hosting kind of stuff, but we have to wait and see. I know that Adrian and Ezekiel, the senior producer and the chief executive officer of Squad, they're in talks with Valve to get Kerbal Space Program up on Steam. When that's going to happen, I just don't know. I know that it is going to happen. We do want to do it. But it's not set in stone yet.
Well, I guess it was still good to brush upon and bring back up this topic so that people get, clarification.
Yeah, a lot of people want to see us on Steam. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are afraid that if we go on Steam, we're going to start pandering to certain people, and the game will lose quality and all this other kinds of crap, and that's just not the truth.
Yeah.
Most of the dev team works 78 hours a day on Kerbal Space Program, so you're not going to ever have to worry about quality as far as the game is concerned. Like C7 and Moo and Nova Slisco and Harvester and all those guys are working 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and then they work with us so that we can tell them what you guys want, and so that we can give you guys content. And then everybody works with Adrian, who's the senior producer, and he works very closely with us. We can tell Adrian, hey, the guys want this, and he'll go, oh, is that right? Well, can we do that? And we go, well, yeah, we can. He says, okay, well, let's do that. So that's how Adrian is as a senior producer. He's amazing. He's a great guy to work for. You can come to him and go, hey, boss, the guys, so many people want this particular feature, and he goes, oh, is that something that we can do reasonably and blah blah blah? And well, yeah, we can. He goes, okay, well, get to work. If that's what they want, give it to them. Now, of course, that's not saying that people can readily just demand whatever they want.
Yeah, exactly. But he is open to the ideas of the community.
Yes, very much so. Especially from James and I. When we say, hey, the guys would like, T-shirts and stuff like that. They would like merchandise, and he goes, oh, I'll work on it. And so yeah, that's something else we want to do, like merchandising and the like. Just because we know people would like to have it. Like T-shirts is the big thing. Those are not coming for a while because we've just not been happy with quality, because unfortunately there's a stigma with us. We're an international company that's based out of Mexico City, Mexico. So there's a stigma that anything that comes out of Mexico is not good.
I don't know where that came from, but I deeply disagree.
Yeah, I disagree wholeheartedly myself, but there's been some mentions of stuff like that made that we've had to kind of clamp down hard on, and the forums and the community in general, where we don't like that stigma, we don't like that image. Right. And I can tell you that is exactly not how Squad operates, and Adrian is very much the kind of guy that if it's not high quality, he's not happy, and it's not going to happen. So like for T-shirts, for example, if we get somebody that makes us a T-shirt and it gets all crackly and it's all that kind of, how like those T-shirts with the plastic overlays get all crappy and crackly.
Yeah.
If we get something like that, he's just going to toss it. Be like, no, we're not working with you, and go to somebody else.
Right. Yeah, he's making sure that he's looking at the details and making sure everybody gets a good quality item.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the game and the community as a whole. You got, the two teams. You got the community team and then the dev team. And then, we're all working together underneath him as the overall producer of the project. Him and Harvester talk all the time because Harv is the lead dev.
Right.
And Harv and the guys really, they talk to him about the focus of the project and the future of the project, and then we give them as much feedback from the community as possible and say, this is what the guys would like, can we do this in a reasonable amount of time? Because that's another problem that we've had is people, like, going back to docking, is people don't understand that we've actually been working on it for like 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep working on it until it's right. And we hope everybody's patient enough and understanding enough to know that we love the game they're playing just as much as they do. And we want to make sure that everything we give you works. It was why we went to a dedicated test team instead of giving the experimental releases to everybody. People probably don't remember that, but that didn't go over well.
No, it did not.
No, it did not go over well at all. Because that was actually I got blamed for that, because that was my suggestion. And Harvester really, really wanted a focused team to give him dedicated reports. So it didn't go over well, but now it's just what everybody assumes. It's because we got a team of 60-something testers now, and I just added like 12 more Mac testers to the team so we could get a better base of Mac users and better test. We have a dedicated bug tracker now. The test team, for example, the last 4 updates, we've gone through between 4 and 7, sometimes all the way up to 9 experimental releases, and almost every update we've fixed between 40 and 50 bugs.
Yeah, it's great that people care enough that are toned into these experimentals that find the bugs and help out the dev team solve these issues before the release of the update.
Well, that's what we wanted. It's not that we don't trust everybody. It's that a small focused group of people that are dedicated to testing yields more than thousands of people who just want to play the game early.
Right.
And there's some bugs that sometimes we might let go because they're not huge and they're very specific use cases, and we'll patch it later. Because we do run on deadlines sometimes, and we were running on deadlines, but now we're just trying to say, okay, we want to get the scope complete, and we're going to work on specific projects, and when they're done, we'll put them in the game.
Right. And yeah, deadlines have been a problem for a long time now.
Yes, we're sorry about that, but
it's not a complaint. It's just getting the scheduling right. I mean, because you really were new to the idea of kind of the Minecraft-esque style of updating and informing people.
Yeah.
So I mean, you handled it pretty well, I think. But there was a lot of unhappy schedule releases.
Yeah. Well, for example, I think it was it 16 that we released on a Friday. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Maybe I don't remember.
It was one of our, like, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. We released on a Friday, and the entire network died. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, and it went wrong in a spectacular Kerbal Space Program explodey fashion.
Right, yeah.
So we ended up actually changing a lot of our communication team-wise, and we talked to Adrian about that particular release, and he's like, okay, no more Friday releases ever at all, period. Not doing that. Because most of the dev team quits on Friday. Saturday and Sunday they have the day off, and then they come back to work the next weekend. Not all of the dev team and the community managers and the moderation team were working all the time.
Right.
But like Harvester, this guy starts work at like 7 or 8 in the morning and doesn't stop until like 8 at night. And C7 does that. Nova Siliska will do that every so often. Moo tends to do that a lot, and so we like to give them breaks. And when that release happened and it went so badly, and we admit that it went badly, we're sorry, it went to crap, and we admit that, but we're fixing things. We've got new server architecture coming, we've got a new patcher, we've got, all kinds of new tools and solutions, and we are discussing cloud hosting, but cloud hosting is expensive, and things like that. So, I can tell you for the next release, you're not going to see the forums die.
And everyone on the forums seems to have this magical answer to just buy new servers.
Yeah, well, it doesn't work that way, guys. Yeah, we can't just buy new servers. I mean, we can, sure, but the money involved and having dedicated personnel to watch the servers, which is a lot of what Rob, aka Nexus, and then Alex, they're the web team, and I work with them closely to let them know what's going on the back end of the forums and the website and the server traffic and server load and all that stuff, so that they can handle problems. But we've literally, for the next update, we are transitioning to a brand new deployment process, so that when we deploy the game on the next update, the forums and the main website will see absolutely no drop in service. At least that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
I believe it was the last update, 0.17, that actually caused the site and forums to go down.
Yeah, the forums did go down, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people will definitely be happy about that.
Yeah, it's because we had made the mistake of hosting the forums and the main website on the production server, which serves all of our. We were serving 185 428 meg patches an hour.
Good God.
Yeah, we were serving between 100 and 150 downloads an hour for 72 hours straight, and so the server was throttling, and the host throttled us, which. Yeah, we pitched an absolute fit with that, because that was not cool, because we're paying for something and they throttled us, and we handled that situation with them. But they're good guys too. They're the hosting solution that the team uses in Mexico. You know, they throttled us because, well, we blew their servers up. we didn't mean to, but yeah, we, you know, like I said, I think within the first 32 hours we were like 30 or 40,000 downloads.
Wow.
You know, we're not like I think one of the bucket guys frequents IRC for Minecraft, and he's like, oh well, you know, we got a whole bunch of servers and we can handle this better than you do. And I'm like, well, what's the size of your server packet? It's like 4 or 5 meg. Okay, yeah, we're serving close to half a gig downloads to, you know, 100 and something people every hour, and 30,000 people in 32 hours. Cut us some slack. So,
yeah.
Think they're big and tough.
Well, Bucket is big.
True. Yeah.
Bucket is big, and I play Minecraft as well. I'm a huge in indie games, period, because, you know, that's another topic that I guess we could talk on before we finish. Is people keep bugging us to go on Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, yes.
Yeah, we can't, because we have American and British employees, kinda, but not American. Kickstarter is a very difficult thing. Now, of course, some people have a misconception that because the game's already in development, we can't Kickstart it. Well, we can.
Yeah.
You know, Kickstarter specifically says they don't care at what point of development the game's at. They don't. So we can put a game that's already in development up. Castle Story is doing that, did that, and that was amazing. You know, they did very, very well, and we would like to, but it's really not as easy as people think it is. I mean, I'd love to see us on Kickstarter. I think we get a whole lot of support on Kickstarter.
A lot of support.
It's just not going to happen anytime soon. You know, whatever we can and can't do with Kickstarter, it will be eventually. I mean, of course, then there's always the chance it might not happen at all, but it's something we've discussed a couple times. We would like to continue discussing it and maybe come up with a solution and do something and see if we could do something. But, you know, I don't want people to think, oh, well, they're going on Kickstarter. No, we're not right now. We'd love to, but not right now.
Before we end this interview, you and Skunky are both reaching out to the community, finding people. You actually emailed me, which, you know, I was excited and shocked at the same time, because I really didn't think that, you know, my videos were branching out as much as they were.
The dev team has seen your videos, so, you know, just to let you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah, we you know, that's our job. It's Skunky and I's job is that you know, and you can call me Anthony, but I'm not gonna give out my last name because I don't want to do that. But that's my real name for those that are wondering, is Anthony. But you know, James and I are very much focused on the community, because that's our job. We're community managers.
Right.
So, you know, I did reach out to several YouTubers. You're the first one that got back to me. I reached out to Kurt J. Mack, and he's busy. We want to let everybody know that, you know, they can come to us and ask us for things if they want to do live streams, or they want to do interviews, or you know, they want to talk about the game, you know, and they can come to us. Like I said, we would prefer people use the chain of command that we have, because James and I are very busy working on, you know, many aspects of the community and the social networking, you know, the KSP network as a whole. But
right,
you know,
yeah.
we do have an open door policy, both of us. So if you need to get a hold of us, you know, you can just PM us on the forums. 9 times out of 10, you'll find us on the IRC, you know, pound KSP official. And I wish I got guff for naming it that, but that's what it's called. It is pound KSP official on Espernet. IRC, and of course, you know, we have a direct link to the IRC on the forums now. I did that yesterday with Nexus's help. So you know, we are here. You know, reach out to us. You know, we want to thank everybody that's doing the videos, like yourself and White Owl and Scott Manley and Kurt J. Mack and a lot of the KSP YouTubers that are trying to promote the game. Because again, you know, we really believe in the game, the project. We love it, so we want to bring more people to it. To finish on this, I mean, I think what makes KSP amazing is those points when everything does go right. You're standing next to your little lunar lander on the Mun, and you're looking at the sun and a Kerbal rise, and you've got your little headlights showing down on your helmet, and, you know, just like everything seems to come together, and you get these amazing spacescapes, which we're going to attempt to, of course, make even more beautiful later on down the road without, you know, sacrificing the cartoonish style of KSP. But yeah. We're here, you know, come to us. We've got an open door, despite what some people might think. You know, you can talk to me whenever you want. You can PM me, get me on IRC. The same with James. You can PM him, talk to him on IRC. And let us know what you guys want. You know, when we take over the Facebook and we take over the YouTube and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, let us know what kind of content you want to see, and we'll do our best to give it to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Anthony, for being, interviewed. I know I'm not really much of an interviewer, but I am new to this.
It's fine. You did a good job.
Well, I think that's going to be it. So I thank you again for being on the show.
And thank you for having me.
No problem.
All right. We'll see you.
Alright guys, so that was the interview with Damion Rayne. I hope you all got a little bit of an insight on what's coming up with Kerbal's space program. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.